Hey, what's happening? Hey, there he is.
Hey, you can see
There he is.
most of my face.
There he is. Excellent.
There's a way to cover it up, but how's it going?
Very nice.
We're back in business. We're ready to roll with camera and all.
Wow, and
Rody
look at
changed it.
Rody is looking very dynamic with the true DFS colors and the color of his sweatshirt, and look, he is like an actual content person here. Look, this
He looks like one. Also, you can't blame him though. His Chargers are on the main slate for once, and we actually are probably going to talk about that a little bit because we get the Chargers on the main slate, and they're not playing in New England in a nonsense game. So I think we're going to talk a little bit about that as we go on. Rody, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. What's up, guys?
Yeah, thanks for changing the image. I was okay with leaving the same one because both those guys are pretty heavily involved in my lineups today. Sheets, I'm going to start off with you and ask any overall thoughts you want to touch on before we get into this slate.
Well, I mean, you could over talk about the weather or under talk about the weather if you want, but I'm just kind of presuming that the projections are kind of factoring most of that in. The other, actually, sort of amazing news. I mean, I shouldn't have seemed amazing, but it's not going to be that DFS relevant. But the fact that Trevor Lawrence is actually playing is quite amazing, actually. We thought he was done for the year. When he was
I actually think that is very DFS relevant because Cleveland was looking to be the most popular defense, certainly on FanDuel and probably on DraftKings, or one of them on DraftKings. And I still hear everybody saying, well, Cleveland's the cash game defense. And I know it's bad weather, but it's not that crazy.
Right.
And it's a lot different with Trevor Lawrence back there. So
the other overall thing, I mean, listen, there's a lot of late games. Not a lot of late games, but there's a lot of late game equity that you can play around with. When we get to running back, we'll talk about one of them. One of those December slates where if you get a good game environment, you can really dominate the field.
Absolutely.
It's a question of whether to get it or not. So, that's all I have as an overall.
Yeah, and I think that really the only, just to throw out my thoughts, just because I want to respond. I think that the only games that I'm really that treating with weather issues are Baltimore and the Rams and the Jets and Houston. And the good news is I was interested in the Rams, and if they were playing in perfect conditions, if they were playing in LA, I would be very interested in game stacking that Rams game. I still have one stack on FanDuel of that, but that's really all that affected me. This is the most obvious late swapping slate ever, and as Sheets pointed out, and the first thing we talked about is, hey, just because you're winning at 4 Eastern means nothing, which was a good example last week because I was literally winning all the sweeps and everything. I was up over 100K, and I had time left too, but nothing. I agree with that in concept, but I also think it's incredibly contrarian to play a lot more of the morning games and try and if you're multi-entering, get a lot more exposure to the early games, just because the late games are going to have that flexibility. You have a lot of sharp people who will be late swapping, mass late swapping, and things like that. And I think actually just playing a little bit of the morning games is a way to get contrarian. Rody, any overall thoughts before we get into positions?
I don't got much. I'm ready to get into it.
All right, let's get into it. Sheets, why don't we start off with you, and then we'll go to me, and then Rody. Actually, you know what? Because we always do that, Rody, we're starting off with you this week. You're starting off with your quarterbacks that you like. Let us know what you like, and we'll go from there.
Okay, yeah. We got an interesting week here. There's some weather games that I'm, not really going to be on. Probably some monsoons coming in. Maybe a little bit overthought on that, but Mahomes and Allen are the top. We got a good game there. I'm kind of a little bit lower on that because I like these mid-range quarterbacks like Brock Purdy at 6'5", Fields at 6'8", Jared Goff at 6'4". Like that mid-range, I really like. Dobbs at 5'9", Russell Wilson at 5'8". Desmond Ritter's projections come up a little bit in that game. I kind of like that game a little bit. But my favorite game is probably going to be the Fields in Goff game, the Detroit game. And then I do like the Herbert and a little bit of Russell Wilson in that game as well. And then we can't forget about the Dome game, the Saints and the Carolina. I kind of like that game. I like pieces more of that game, but I mean, you can stack Bryce Young at 4.9 for a large field MME or something like that, whatever. He's pretty cheap in that game. Expects to run for a high pace in a Dome game, which we like to target Dome games. So really, those are the games that I'm on mostly right there.
That makes a lot of sense. I think we're in a fairly similar step here. Sheets, what do you got?
Well, just again to give you guys a little context. So I'm playing all three sites today, as usual. DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo. I'm playing the 150 in the Millie Maker. I'm also playing 3 entries. Ooh, what is this? Oh, so okay. I'm also playing 3 entries in the bigger one, Millie Maker thing. And in FanDuel, I'm playing 3 entries in that bigger 250, whatever that is. So I just want, just a little context of when I say I have X% or what I'm doing, because I do have a different kind of look between sites, between FanDuel as opposed to whatever. I will say that as far as quarterbacks go, I'm with Rhodey most to a great extent. I mean, like Purdy on DraftKings is going to be my top owned quarterback, and then other guys you mentioned like Fields, Browning, as well. And I think he probably mentioned it, but I probably am a little over, which I'm kind of happy about on Josh Dobbs actually. There is actually, I mean, it's weird. It's like risk, but it's risk I don't care about. Like there's risk that if he is really bad, they just bench him, whatever. But that doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? Because if he's really bad, I don't want him. You know what I mean? Like he's dead anyway. So I have actually more Dobbs than most people, I guess. And those are really the only guys on DraftKings that have more than 10% of, like Purdy, Dobbs, Fields, and Browning. I will say that on FanDuel, I figured I would just mention this, especially in the bigger ones. I'm playing a bunch of Tampa and Mayfield. So I figured I would just throw that one in. So essentially, a pretty condensed. Only 4 guys I have more than 10% of: Purdy, Dobbs, Fields, and Browning on DraftKings. A little more Mayfield on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's interesting because I have 0 Dobbs, I have 0 Browning. I actually think that I have a bit of a take on the. I don't think I understand the game environment is good or whatever. I don't understand why Browning would be more popular than Minshew. I just, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm going to just completely fade that. Like I actually thought I might just, I'll throw one in because I don't have it, but I don't even really want to do that. I just don't feel like I'm worried about losing the slate to Jake Browning because of one game that he played that was all right. I don't know that in general that he actually is all right. I don't believe that he is. So I like other guys in that range a little better. My way over owned, probably 30% of my lineups overall between both sites is going to be Josh Allen. I like these spots. I like to have the upside of 40 from a quarterback. I cannot believe, based on this slate with the value out there, that he's not more popular. I can't believe that Mahomes is more popular than he is, and I actually like Mahomes fine, but I'm way higher on Allen than I am on anybody. Literally 2-1 the field. Next favorite for me would be Justin Fields. And I like that stack. I don't mind the Goff side of it, but just a reminder that it really does make a difference for Goff. He's not quite the same outdoors in general, so I would be leaning a little bit more on the field side of it, also the rushing upside. Then you get into Russell Wilson for me, and then Brock Purdy. I am playing Purdy basically multiple guys who are like sub 5% owned. I don't want to play these really chalky quarterbacks that I don't even think are I think Fields is a better play than Purdy, and he's going to have half the ownership possibly. So I'm going to probably just play him where I can get where I'm going to get really, really wild with the pieces around him. And then Mahomes, Herbert, Ritter, and Goff. I'm thinking about upping Ritter, and it just feels so stupid because I always talk myself into it on these Sunday mornings, and I end up with a bunch of the Ritter. I probably am going to gamble with it again this week and hope he doesn't fumble 3 times at the goal line like he did the last couple times that I played him. He's got more fumbles at the goal line than any quarterback in history, by the way, in a season by a lot. I think he's got 7 this year or 6, something crazy. It's unbelievable.
How many lineups are you playing today?
So I'm playing 40 in the Millionaire, the $20, 3 in the 555, and then I have 6 on the big one on FanDuel. It's $250 for a million for first.
You're in 6 of that one, okay?
Yeah, just if there's $1 million chance in it.
I love that. I think that's a great way to play that. Actually,
that's a great contest. I'm
playing.
Yeah, and look, the payouts are going to be crazy, but just get a little wild with it. Anyway, we'll move on to running back and start off with Sheets over there.
Okay. Running back. Let me just pull it up. All right. So again, it's a little bit site specific, but not too much. So my top owned guys is I'm pretty chalky actually at running back. I have 44% Zach Moss, and then I have over 20 of Mixon, McCaffrey, and Javonte Williams. So this is what I want to talk about. I mean, I want to talk about this Kansas City thing. Okay. I've heard anything from you should be playing 100% Clyde Edwards-Helaire to it's the worst play you can make to why are we not playing Jerick McKinnon to I should fade them all. So there's literally a lot of ways you can go, and that's the thing I brought up, the fact that that's a late game. I think that decision can be changed throughout the course of the day, depending on how you're doing, but I wouldn't even know exactly what to do. I guess if you want to explain to a 10-year-old like how to play DFS, I would say that if you were going to play like Buffalo receivers, like Diggs and all them, and play Josh Allen, maybe McKinnon might be the better play than Helaire, because then you get Kansas City into more of a passing game deal. But I don't know. I don't even know if McKinnon's how much he's gonna play. I mean, he's back, whatever. But I don't know what they're gonna do at Kansas City. They what's his name? The coach said, listen, Helaire's next man up. He's gonna take over, and I have no reason to doubt him except for the fact that they're awful as shit. but that's the running back for me. That's kind of sticking in my craw. Two other points about running back is one involving Alvin Kamara. I'm under on him, but something to note is that one of the things we worry about sometimes playing him is Taysom Hill scarfing touchdowns, and today he's not playing. So that I imagine should bump Kamara, and yet still I'm going to be under on him. So I guess I'll put the KC question to both of you guys. But as far as who I'm playing right now, it's Moss, Mixon, McCaffrey, and Javonte Williams at the top one.
So I think that's a great place to start. Is the Chiefs thing? I'll answer, and I'll let Rody answer, and then I'll go through my running backs. But I personally have 26% of Edwards-Helaire right now and 22% of McKinnon. Obviously, not playing them together. I do actually think in the afternoon slate you could consider playing them together if you wanted to play like just that would actually make a little bit of sense. The thing I like about McKinnon is I'm using him more in my McKinnon is mostly going into my Mahomes stacks mostly have McKinnon as part of it, and it really depends on game flow how it goes. If they're down 2 touchdowns or if they are in 3rd and long quite a bit, you're going to see a lot more McKinnon. But if they're just grinding the game away, you're going to see a lot more Edwards-Helaire. So I am interested in both of them, and I think they're good values. And like you said, they're very switchable, especially if you have most players in your afternoon. So you don't need to stick with them if you don't want to. By the end of the day, if you've got multiple things, you can switch around later. One thing to keep an eye out for is Geno Smith is looking like closer to seriously questionable was the last official report that I heard.
Yeah, legit game time decision is the best I can come up with.
Right, which is scary a little bit. For that whole game in general, but we've seen the Niners pour it on before. It wouldn't be the first time, not like the Cowboys, but they'll do a little bit of it. Anyway, Brody, what do you think about the Edwards-Helaire and McKinnon thing? And then I'll get into my running back plays after you say.
Yeah, just quick to go on it. Some of the people on Twitter and stuff saying that they're, Edwards-Helaire is going to start, but then McKinnon's going to split carries with him. So. There's that. So I'm kind of mixing and match both of them. I have both of them. I'll probably almost equal in different lineups here and there. So not playing them together as well, like Bobby said. That's I have the same take as Bobby and Sheets. So,
by the way, if Edwards-Helaire was going to be 50% owned, I would go full fade. But if you tell me 25%, I could almost make an argument the other way. You know what I mean? It's just,
yeah, exactly. I think
it's just a funny thing about that. I'm nuts. Okay, I'm definitely feeling like I'm on a different train. I understand how bad he's been this year. I can't help myself. I am my highest owned running back right now is Austin Eckler. And I know that seems ridiculous, but I'm just going to take a gamble. I don't think he's going to end up as my highest owned running back, but I did have him in my early builds. He's not my highest dollar amount running back, but he's in a lot of my lineups. Partially that's because of game stacks, but a lot of it is just because I think there is plenty of upside. You have the team that's absolutely dead last against running backs in the NFL. I know they've been better lately, but they're still significantly the worst. Partly that's because they gave 8 touchdowns in that one game on the ground to Miami. But I think I kind of want to gamble with the Eckler thing at low ownership. Javonte Williams and Zach Moss and Edwards Helaire are my next 3 highest owned, who probably end up as my highest owned, and that's sort of with the chalk. And then I'm at 25% Kamara, 26% McCaffrey. I mentioned 22% McKinnon. Everybody else is sub 10%, but close to 10%. Jacobs, Mixon, Rashad White, Bijan Robinson. And I think that a really interesting play today, given the weather, is Kyren Williams. I'm thinking about upping that ownership a little bit. The workload he gets, and Baltimore, as good as they are, you can break some plays. And McVay is a genius play caller. If we really think Kupp and Nakua are both playing banged up, I think there's a chance Kyren Williams could go off at very, very low ownership today when we've seen him very popular, especially on FanDuel. I don't think he's going to be on it at 8,800 or whatever he is over there. So I kind of like that one to get different. Rudy, what do you got at running back?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you guys say a lot. Eckler, I'm only a little worried about the coach come out and said they're going to split carries with Josh Kelly and Isaiah Spiller this week and go ride the hot hand is what they said. But I think that's a good thing for Eckler. I think it puts more pressure on Eckler. Maybe they try to get him involved early on and he breaks one. I don't know why they're just abandoning Eckler or just trying to put some motivation under him or something. So maybe that's a good day for him to be motivated. So I like that call. Kyren Williams is another guy I'm getting on. That weather is kind of nasty there. I think it's going to be a good play. He's priced up a little bit more than I'd want to, but I think it's a good play. Josh Jacobs still getting a lot of good in projections in the Minnesota game. Moss, I'm going to be probably at the field. Usually I like to fade some of these chalkier guys, but I'm kind of having to find one of these lower end, cheaper guys I'm going to have to get in my roster because I do like a lot of Alvin Kamara today. I think his usage is going to be good. A lot of dump off passes. CMC's up there price wise, but they don't like using their backup running back, so CMC gets a lot of the work. So that's another play that I don't have a ton of, but I'm trying to get a little bit more of. And Javonte Williams that Bobby just called out, I really like. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, the split guys. I try to mix in a little bit of both of them, just because you never know which one's going to get the touchdown. I kind of like that game, so I kind of use them as a run back or something.
Go ahead. Sorry, Rick.
No, you can go.
No, I was just going to mention that K9's bringing up in chat something that we saw. Scott, I think Scott from Poker X Factor said the same thing. He said he needs Mitchell to have a big day. Maybe that's in season long, maybe that's in DFS. Keaton Mitchell, I think, is an interesting play. It's an interesting pivot off of the Chiefs guys. He has explosive playmaking ability. This game could stay more on the ground because the weather is pretty nasty. Unfortunately, that could just mean more Lamar for him. But he's 4,900, and the workload is kind of weird, but he's sort of like their version of A-Chain, but he's starting to get more carries now. Like he's the poor man A-Chain or whatever. I think Keaton Mitchell's an interesting tournament play. I think I would like to get a little bit of him. Maybe I'll use that to get rid of some of my Eckler. Sheets, what do you think about Keaton Mitchell?
I don't like it just because I think there's 3 running backs. I would prefer if you want to pivot off of those guys, I prefer a guy who I know is going to get all of the work, but it's going to be a very, very tough matchup. And I'm considering going over on Zach Charbonnet from Seattle.
Why would he get all? Kenneth Walker's supposed to be in.
Oh, he is?
He's on track as of right now.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, forget it. But as far as Baltimore goes, I don't like to play the 3 minutes. Even in showdown, when I play one of these guys, it's tilting.
Yeah, I want to point out they're all very different running backs, and Keaton Mitchell is really used like a little bit more as the big play guy, the third down back / we're going to give him carries. They're treating him like a little more of the explosive play guy. I think he's going to do more in the passing game as the time goes on. But I certainly understand your argument. All right, let's talk about tight ends, and we will start. I guess we're starting with me. Yeah, I think we're starting with me. It's not I don't even necessarily love this, but I think you can win the position with it pretty easily. And he's going to have some ownership, but I'll be above the field on Travis Kelce. Right now, I have too much of Kyle Pitts. I'm sort of like actually above the field, and I only moderately like him today.
Wait. So you want to do tight end before wide receiver?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll jump into wide receiver. It's much more.
I mean, we could do tight end if you want. I mean,
No, you're right. I just got, hey, look, it's still, I'm healing still, man. I'm healing. I'm trying to remember everything. No, I'm just kidding. All right, highest on wide receivers, believe it or not. So Gabe Davis and Rashee Rice are my two highest on wide receivers, followed by Stephon Diggs. No shocker of the games I like. Jalen Guyton, although I'm gonna get a lot of Quentin Johnston to offset some of my Jalen Guyton ownership. JSN, Jamison Williams, I mentioned in that game, he's a cheap way to get exposure to it. All these other cheap guys are going to have some ownership today. He's obviously not going to. I like Drake London. If I had to pick, Atlanta only, I think, completed one pass to a receiver last week. I'm betting they do more against Tampa Bay today. Sutton, Mingo, Shakir, Mike Evans. Washington is the one I want to talk about because he's 4,100 on FanDuel, which is below what a receiver's price is allowed to be. I don't know how that's possible. It's like the Bartolo Colon of the day he turned 42. They made him $42 on FanDuel. He's 4,100, and that's just below minimum cost. That's like getting a wide receiver on DraftKings at 2,600. So just kind of interesting to think about that one. Then
who are you talking about?
Washington from the Jags.
On which site you're saying?
The showdown hero from last week on FanDuel.
No, I know, but he's $3K flat on DraftKings. Okay.
No, but I'm saying he's 4,100 and the minimum price for receivers is 4,500. Okay. So it's below minimum is all I was saying.
Okay.
And it's almost like people might not even notice, like if they're doing it. I don't know. It's just interesting. But then I mentioned Quentin Johnston, and then I like Devontae Adams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'd like to get to a little more of them than I currently have. How about you, Rody, for wide receiver?
Yeah, I like that. Keenan Allen projects really good this week as well, above everyone else in that game, gets all the work. Yeah, there's a couple good defenders might be on him, but he's still going to get the ball. I like him this week. I like Amon St. Brown at 8,200. Rashee Rice in that KC game is 5,400. Very chalky, but a play I like. If you like Purdy, you're probably going to want Debo or Ayuk this week, both about the same price. Debo's still the low-owned guy. If you want to pair him with Purdy. Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, I like in that Russell stack. Jerry Judy's a little bit cheaper. Tyler Lockett's a pretty good price at 5.6. If Geno does play, maybe it's better. San Francisco defense is still very good, but I don't mind Tyler Lockett's price. Jacoby Myers priced at 5.7 is a guy that I like a lot this week. Gabe Davis at 5,800 on DK, a very low owned too. He's pretty low owned, like him. Might get to some Josh Downs at the 4.9 price tag. A couple cheaper guys I like. JSN from Seattle as well, 4.1. Jonathan Mingo 3.5. A.T. Perry again in that Saints game. Carolina's defense isn't that great. I think he's the number 2 guy. Gets red zone looks, big guy at 3,500. I like that a lot.
Can I ask you? We're expecting Shaheed to be out. Obviously, that Perry play may change a little bit if Shaheed is in. He's supposed to be out, but he hasn't been announced officially.
Yeah, that's true. I should jump the gun on that, but
I agree with the play. I just wanted to throw that out.
Good clarification.
Because I see some sites still have him projected, which is hurting the projection of A.T. Perry, obviously.
I haven't updated my projection in a while either. I haven't hit refresh, so it's been since my first one. I should probably refresh too. So, and then Justin Jefferson with Dobbs a little bit I like, and then Mike Evans is a guy that I like a little pricey though, but another one I kind of like. So that's my guys for now.
Yep, Sheets, who you got?
I think you mentioned every wide receiver on the board between the two you guys.
Well, that's okay. You can support the ones that you like. You know what I mean? That's
I mentioned my guys in my stack pairings. Is kind of how I go through my.
So let me emphasize a couple of things. I'm going to bring up one guy. I don't think either of you said. You may have that I have like 16% of, who's basically the best wide receiver in football right now, and that'd be Mike Evans.
That's what we both said him. Yeah,
you did say him. So there's him. I'm going to tell you guys that can get like 35, like Evans, DJ Moore.
I did mention DJ Moore.
He can smoke. Devontae Adams.
Adams. Yeah.
I think he could smoke. I'll throw one other guy in, and I'll throw 2 guys in. One cheapo in a bad weather environment, but I'm getting Odell Beckham at 3,800. I have to consider that.
Mhm.
And the other one in the weather environment's not great, and the offense is not great either. But Garrett Wilson, top target at 5,500. I guess you guys pretty much covered all of it. As far as my top owned guys, it's probably pretty chalky actually. But Drake London, I think he's going to be probably.
Sure, I didn't mention him. Yeah, he's a good play.
No, you guys both mentioned him.
I mentioned him.
Yeah, but Drake London is probably going to be chalkier than I would want. But I have like a good 20% of him anyway.
Yeah, he's at like almost 25-30%. Yeah, someone there.
Yeah, and Jonathan Mingo again, like the cheap stuff. And I think that Trevor Lawrence playing, opens up to Parker Washington, and it certainly opens up to Zay Jones. They were probably in play anyway with Beathard, So I might give. What I try to do, everybody here, is I come to this 11 o'clock thing with my lineups pre-built, and then I see like what I gather from this kind of discussion, and what I want to bump up here.
That's exactly what I do, by the way, too.
And then I probably rebuild, and I'll tell you what play is. Is anybody really? I can't do this. I can't play Keenan Allen right now at 8,600. I just don't think I can do that. But so the other guy I think can get 30 is Justin Jefferson. So I think what you're supposed to do, honestly, is that like I think their running backs are pretty concentrated, and if you just kind of take a stand on a couple of running backs, and you could like you were saying, you could spread out some of these wide receivers, something like that. So. I guess that's it. I mean, you could obviously play St. Brown with what's his name with DJ Moore and that type of thing. But yeah, it's a plenty of wide receiver options today. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Wait, is Chris Olave playing? I just see him questionable.
I'll tell you who can get 30. It's the guy with the highest scoring game ever. Chris Olave is supposed to be playing, but I don't have official word yet.
Who has the highest score ever?
The highest score, at least that I remember, Gabe Davis.
Oh,
and it was against these Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Yes. He had 4 touchdowns and I believe 275 yards receiving. So I would like to see that again from Gabe Davis today, because if that happens, you're going to see me. If Gabe Davis scores 3 touchdowns and I don't make a ton of money today, something is wrong.
Yeah, that's really bad. Yeah.
Anyway, all right, we can move on to the next tight ends, and that we're starting with Rhodey.
Oh, you want me to start?
Yeah, because I accidentally started the wrong.
I can go if you want.
Yeah, go. Let Sheets get ahead of the game. I want him to get ahead of the game.
Kyle Pitts is my top owned guy, and again, Drake London's my top owned receiver, so it's kind of weird. But that's
how much Ritter did you say you have? Any Ritter sheets?
Like none.
Like I'm
earlier in the week.
I'm like, these guys are his top vote. He didn't even mention Ritter earlier. I'm like,
no, I think I have. I just have these guys as pieces.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're cheap, right? They're good fillers. Someone's going to score, right?
I have one lineup out of 150 with Desmond Ritter, and yet I have Kyle Pitts and Drake London, my top owned receivers. Anyway, I'm just being transparent. I'm not saying it's good, but that's just what it is. So Kyle Pitts is top owned, and then the next one is Isaiah Likely from Baltimore, but it's not much, like 14% or something like that. And then T.J. Hawkinson. I mean, you can make a case for all these guys: Kittle, Kmet, Michael Mayer. I mean, you have a strong opinion. Anybody have a strong opinion? Oh, you started to mention.
I do.
Okay, so before I made you go back to receiver, okay, so I will say that out of 150 lineups, I have 2 lineups with Kelsey. So someone's going to win. We'll do one of those things. That's pretty much what I have.
I'm not even necessarily correct. Look, I just see a game that I don't like. Look, I understand that, these teams have played and not every game was, 50 or whatever, 48 to 45 or whatever it was in that one playoff game. But the game that I think is the best game, and that the fact that it's being just, in my opinion, just so far under-owned, I'll just say Kelsey and Kincaid as being my top 2 owned right now. I do have it as one of the, as we mentioned, notes from the show. My first note is, and I made it as we were coming on, less Kelsey. So I absolutely am probably going to end up with less of that. But I still love the Kincaid play at low ownership. And I really like this guy. Even if Dawson Knox is back, it doesn't bother me at all. Love Laporta, love Hawkinson. And Cole Kmet, partly stack stuff. Tanner Hudson is the cheap guy I've mostly used at 2,800, and Isaiah Likely I would like to get more of. Rody, how about you?
Yeah, I really like those calls. Kelsey, I want to get a little bit of him. He's the top guy. Hawkinson, I like. Laporta, I'm on that game. Pitts, I like his price, and I'm on that game a little bit. Cole Kmet, which Bobby mentioned, on that game. Likely, I'm on that game. So yeah, I mean, pretty much don't have anyone's different than you guys didn't mention. Maybe a little Kittle in my Purdy stacks. I like a little bit of him this week as well. 5.9. I think that's a good DK price.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right. And Sheets, what do you wait? No, we didn't.
We're going to defense.
Oh, okay. I thought for some reason that's my fault. Yeah, that's right. You started it.
All right. He started tight end.
Now I'm thrown off. So Rody, you're starting the defense.
Wait. Let me make a couple announcements. Taysom Hill is out.
Oh.
Just came in.
Kamara.
Notifications. Also, Dawson Knox is going to play too this week, I believe. So that's
yeah,
he will play. So him and Kincaid split a little bit, but Kincaid's still okay. Boyd's active. Noah Brown's active. Juwan Johnson active. ETN active. So Jags might have a little bit more offense than we think this week, although the Browns are a good defense. Okay, now we can move on to defense.
That was important stuff. I actually appreciate that because I will get Celeste Kincaid a little bit. I still am going to have something, but I'm going to have a little
they all popped up here on me in the last couple seconds, a minute. So Lawrence is in too for good. He just popped in as an active too. So
yeah. All right, Sheets, you want to start us off with defense.
Before we get into that, I want to further my discussion of this Jacksonville thing. One thing that I remember this back from when Brett Favre was quarterback, and it's the case for all quarterbacks, honestly. Like when you have like an ankle injury or like a leg injury or whatever, and you basically are just not really going to be a running quarterback. Brett Favre used to say this a lot. Like when he was like kind of hurt, he always kind of like threw the ball better. Because he wasn't scrambling, he wasn't running, he wasn't doing whatever. He had better footwork because he didn't have to go freaking nuts. He wasn't twisting his body, and these receivers for Jacksonville should be bumped. I really do. Right down to the tight end from Engram to which one's out or whatever. Ridley.
Kirk's out. Ridley.
Right. Ridley, Parker, and Zay Jones. You take away like the running from what's his name, and then all you have is if they could stuff at the end, you could be throwing the ball to underpriced receivers. So I reiterate that. As far as defense goes, again, I don't think you should play anybody over 20%. And I'm not getting to anybody over 20% on DraftKings. My top owned guy, and it's kind of interesting because I just mentioned that on FanDuel I was getting a decent amount of Mayfield, but Falcons are my top owned defense on DraftKings. Then after that, it's Ravens, followed by the Browns and the Bills. So Falcons, Ravens, Browns, Bills are the guys I have over 10% of. And then, that's what I have.
That makes a lot of sense. How about you, Rody?
Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit different, as probably my top own is going to be the Jets. I really like the Jets. A little bit of rain there, more weather. I'm kind of high on them. Pretty much them. And there's no real cheap defenses this week. 2,400 Seahawks, but like that's not really a great play. Maybe a little bit of the Rams in that weather game with Lamar running, maybe fumbles it or something. It's going to be wet. I don't mind that 2,700 if you got to get a little cheaper. The Browns were the chalky ones, but maybe not. They might drop a little bit, but 3K is pretty good price tag for an elite defense they have. Falcons as well as 2,900. I really like the Jets, Falcons, and Browns in that 2,900 3K range. I guess if you're paying up, the 49ers, we're looking a little bit more decent here for a minute, but if Geno and the squad's back, maybe not at 3.7 to pay that high. So
if who's back? Wait, if who's back?
Isn't Geno's still game time decision, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I said if Geno's he's playing.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm getting the 49ers and like optimals a little bit right now for like cash build. So it's a little wonder why we're spending up that high, just because I think everyone else is so cheap that we want this week for cash. But But yeah, those are my main ones. Those middle ones I like. I don't know if I want to pay down low. I just like the middle ones this week. I think I'm sticking there.
Yeah, well, what's weird is that literally like my Chiefs Bills stacks have the Bears defense. My Bears stacks have the Chiefs or Bills defense. That, you know what I mean? It's just kind of a funny like little thing. So yeah, Bears, Chiefs, Seahawks, Broncos, Bills are my above 10 percenters. Then I have the Browns, Jags, and 49ers. I probably am going to end up getting to some Atlanta and some more middling stuff because I'm going to make, some spend down a little bit more, a little less Kincaid, a little less Travis Kelce when we get off of here. But I think that, this is what's weird is that my favorite defense is the Bears, even though I like that game to shoot out, just because you take Goff outside and every now and then you get that perfect thing, that perfect storm. You know what I mean? And we've seen it before.
Yeah.
In the season. So I like that Bears at 2,400. That would be my desire.
Yeah, it's kind of a trap game for the Lions too. Like, Goff doesn't really play that good. It's probably a little cold there too, a little bit. But so yeah, it's kind of a trap game for the Lions this week, I think. So I've been telling everybody that. So
yeah, it is. And also remember, the Bears have nothing to lose for, so they're only playing.
Yeah, and their defense has kind of been better the last few weeks. So
they've been a lot better. Yeah, they've been playing better just in general. But it is cold there.
So
I'll give a couple of announcements here. Same thing as usual. I'm going to put showdown slate stuff up for the Philly Dallas game like a little bit later. And again, if there's a sweat like in the main slate, we'll probably cop on live, whatever, just for the hell of it. And if I do that, then we'll do like some showdown stuff. But those sheets will go up. And be on the lookout for late swap opportunities because you do have a lot of guys you can play in those late games. So watch for that. And that's my last comment, I think.
Yeah, and I'd like to just jump on the comment thing too, because sometimes I know it's going to happen. One of us is going to win a big thing, and we're going to be a guy we didn't really talk about in the afternoon slate. There is so much swappability in this afternoon slate. It's really hard to know what you're going to do, and it's really going to be dictated for me based on how the guys who are in those lineups in the morning slate perform. You know what I mean? There's no reason to just marry ourselves to these plays when we have all this decision-making ability at 12:30. Even Geno Smith being out might affect how much you like the Brock Purdy stacks. You know what I mean? Maybe you want to go with McCaffrey instead. So just like there's a lot of stuff that I think that's going to be a late swapping day, which I'm very excited for.
Hey, one last thing. I mean, you mentioned only because I brought it up. Is Kenneth Walker definitely playing?
No, he's expected to play, and Charbonnet is still questionable. So
okay.
So we really don't know. So that whole game, I mean, could it be one of those? I don't think Seattle's going to tank it. My guess is that whoever has the ability to even come close to playing is going to play.
Adam Schefter did say Charbonnet and Walker are expected to play though. So
yeah, that's what they have right now.
Okay,
but Geno Smith is a true GTD.
Yeah,
and I was just saying if Geno's out, maybe they just punt it, but it's not. I don't think they would do that in a division game. You're not going to just give up on a game. I mean, it's just more like how much can they handle anyway.
Pete Carroll, he's not giving up.
What's that?
Pete Carroll, he's not giving
up. No, he's not giving up. But I'm saying that maybe in terms of just we're not going to win this game anyway this week. We'll win the game next week. We can rest up our banged up, either Walker or Charbonnet. That's sort of what I was thinking.
I think you got the wrong.
Well, no, but you're right. It's not the normal guy. It's not what I expect. I'm just throwing it out there.
Derek Carr out, right? Is that right? No. Derek Carr is he playing?
It's Winston today. I thought. Wait, no. I'm sorry. It was Carr was questionable, and he's expected to play right now.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in projections expected to play. I mean, they call him the 9 lives guy. He gets a concussion every week and somehow comes back and he suits up, plays 3 quarters, and is out the 4th.
Without Taysom Hill, I'm going to be a lot more on Kamara after this show. That's all I can say. And I know he's going to be popular, but
Kamara wasn't getting that much ownership. I think these cheap running backs, people are trying to get other plays in.
Yeah, and Kamara's
ownership just tripled, but I mean, he's up to 30% now. I think
you have the most
30% for him, really?
Yeah, it was like only 10.
It's kind of hard to argue with it for me.
Yeah, because Taysom Hill gets so many goal line carries that Kamara doesn't ever get the touchdowns. Although some backup running back the other day got one though, unfortunately, or it might have been a QB sneak or something, or with Carr or something.
Who do you like in the Eagles Cowboys?
I just want to say real quick about the matchup with Kamara. It's so against Denver, take away the one game. Carolina would be significantly take away the one Miami game where they get up 70. Carolina would be significantly the worst defense against running backs in football, and Taysom Hill has been getting 10 carries a week. So I really think Kamara is a smash play, just personally, and I think it's going to be hard for me to fade him and probably have like over the field. What were you going to say, Sheets, though?
Who do you like in the Eagle Cowboy game?
What is the spread? I wasn't big on making a big prediction. Give me the Eagles.
Okay.
Of course, I said that last week too, but how about you, Rody? Eagles Cowboys?
Yeah, I like the Eagles too. Wasn't it like a really good bet for the Eagles right now?
Plus 3.5. It just
like plus 3.5. Yeah,
the 3.5 is just makes it a really good bet. So I certainly like them plus the points, and I think that they have a great shot to win the game. Obviously,
yeah.
I actually think they will win the game. Dallas still has squeaked by one 500 team. That's what they've done. They beat Seattle barely. That's all they've done. I'm not going to give this team all the credit that they just for running up the score on all these poor helpless Giants Tommy DeVito things. All right. I'm going to go with my it felt like a hotter take when I was first going to make it at the beginning of the week. And now it seems like a less hot take. So it was going to be DJ Moore is going to be the highest scoring player on the slate. I would like to add one to it. I think this Jameson Williams is going to have more than 15 fantasy points. And I'm just trying to put it into the universe. And if he has more than 15 fantasy points, I'm going to be very happy, which means, and I think there's an upside for a lot more. But I'm going to say Jameson Williams over 15 and DJ Moore on the winning lineup. So I guess those two guys on the winning lineup maybe my bold take. Although no one's else going to play Jameson. Those are nuts. How about you, Rody? Or Sheets? Anything you want to?
Yeah, I'll throw out a terrible take. You ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. Zach Wilson, 3 touchdowns, including 2 to Garrett Wilson.
Ooh, I like
okay.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm going to build one stack of $5
Yeah,
tournament or something like that after we get out of here. How about you, Rody? Anything?
Man, I like going back to Austin Eckler today. Like, I think everyone's going to be lower on him. Now with Kamara news, you got to fit these big running backs in. I think he's someone like 2% owned. I think he goes for 35 fantasy points this week and has a big game. So,
who was it?
Austin Eckler.
Oh, let's go. Let's go, Eckler. That's what I wanted to hear.
He's pretty low owned now with Kamara news. Might be trying to fit both of those guys in there with one of the cheapos. Might be what I do.
I love him today, so I may be just losing my mind. And I hate the Brendan Staley. It needs to be fired already. Just get him out of here. This is hot hand nonsense. You have one of the best 3 running backs in football for the last 10 years or 6 years. Anyway, all right, guys. Rody, anything else? And then just take us out of here, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, you guys are all good? Okay, yeah.
So the questions dried up, yeah.
Yeah, let's see. What do we end up at the light? How many likes do we have? Oh, 19. I was pushing.
Guys, get us one more like. Come on, make Rody happy.
Someone got to give us one more like. Come on, a bunch of people joined in here. We're up to like 40. So, all right, guys.
How about this? I like it.
You liked it? There we go. All right, we hit it.
We got
all right, guys. Good luck today. As always, let's